friends, welcome back to WSIB Truth Matters with Joe Machado. I hope you're enjoying this beautiful Thursday afternoon. The sun is shining and definitely makes me happy. I like the warm weather. And another thing that really makes me happy is what I'm going to do today and for the next two videos, which is the beginning of this series where I'm going to talk about and help you to take back your power from the WSIB, so that you're not a victim, but you're in control of your claim. And so I'm going to show you the strategies that I taught my paralegals and other support staff in my company that made us successful in settling the majority of the cases without having to go to appeal, and being able to hold case managers and other people within the WSIB accountable for their actions or lack thereof. So I want to share as much as I can with you so that you can feel empowered to deal with these people. Having an injury is bad enough, or having an illness that resulted from your job, that's bad enough. Trying to recover from that so you can get back to work and earn money to feed your family, that's bad enough. But you don't need to have these people at the WSIB, looking down on you or intimidating you or threatening you or making you feel small when you have all of those other important things to contend with. Their job is to be there to help you and nothing else, and to apply the law in a fair and responsible manner. So today I'm going to talk about identifying who's pulling the strings. The first thing about knowing how you're going to feel empowered is to how you're dealing, or the person that you're dealing with, whether they're paying attention to your issues, whether they're paying attention to you and your needs, and whether they're going to be responsible enough and courteous enough to address them. So I'm going to get right into it here. Over the years, I've seen a lot of flaws with the system. And I'm sure that you have as well. And I'm just going to go through some of them that are very obvious. And not only that I witnessed personally, both as an injured worker, but also as a representative and dealing with the adjudicator day in and day out. But also the feedback I would get from clients over and over. And feedback I would get from injured workers when I spoke with them one-on-one, when I did seminars all over the province. The big one is always that lack of accountability. It's like, case manager and adjudicators, they can take whatever action they want and you feel like they're not held responsible for it. The other one is arbitrary decision-making. Case managers are supposed to make decisions all the way up the line. Case managers, appeals officers, they're supposed to make decisions that are, first of all, based on evidence, and secondly, that are legal, that they're based on the law, not arbitrary. And, every time that I got a decision for a client, that it was a sound decision that took into consideration all of the evidence, and the evidence was weighed and given the appropriate consideration, and that the law was cited, the policy, that the adjudicator, case manager, or appeals officer used to support their decision. Whenever I received a decision like that, it made me feel good because I understood where they were coming from. I could then explain it to my client in a way that they would feel good about it, that they could understand it. They may not agree with it. And I'm not going to talk about the merits of a decision. That's going to be in another series that I'm going to start on May 1st. It's called our due diligence strategy. And I have a 3-part series dedicated to that alone. But today we're going to talk about just proper decorum, a set of principles that people follow to be able to do things in a manner that you feel that you're being looked at, that you're being thought of, and that they're giving you their time and making sure that you understand what they're doing. So when that happened, I had no trouble, explaining to a client and saying, listen, this is why they came up with this, and this is the law. I agree with it, or I don't agree with it, and this is what I think we need to do to address it, because this other part of the law may address it more appropriately. Those semantics can be discussed. But for somebody to take the time to write it down, to make sure you understood, it's important, because you know that they're listening. And there's so many times that didn't get that, and that I know you don't get that they don't take the time to address your issues. The other one is lengthy delays in decision-making. There's no excuse for that. The WSIB has a large budget, and now that they've given $1.5 billion back to employers, that's a sign that, you know what? You need to be able to have experienced people working for you that know what they're talking about, that know the legislation, that understand how to communicate effectively with customers, and how to draft and write a proper decision with all of the different items that are important that should be there. Okay? So, but to do that, it doesn't take as much time as they take. So delays, these endless delays, make no sense. And we need to be able to address that. An authoritarian attitude. That's the worst. Somebody telling you that, hey, this is my decision, and if you don't agree with it, go ahead and appeal it. There's so many ways to say that in a respectful manner. That authoritarian attitude, all it does is create conflict and an adversarial environment. And when Sir William Meredith, back in the 1915, the 5 principles that he had established, on which many workers' compensation systems across Canada and even the US were formed on, one of the principles is that it should not be an adversarial situation. But it is. And they make it so. The lack of knowledge and experience is unacceptable. And then, I have one I just dealt with the other day, where a claims adjudicator made a decision. It went to the appeals branch. The appeals officer made another decision, but didn't even call out the adjudicator for an error that she had made. And then it went to the tribunal. And the tribunal pointed it out, because they're very much focused on the law and the wording and the actual legislation and how it's applied in policy and whatnot. And she was addressing a decision on a fell issue and using loss of earnings terminology, which is Bill 99. So it's wrong. The premise is entirely wrong. The legislation is wrong, because loss of earnings benefits and the legislation that governs loss of earnings benefits has absolutely nothing to do with future economic loss awards and Section 43(9) supplements, which was part of the issue at the appeals at the tribunal. Was it? So how does this happen? It shouldn't happen. An adjudicator should be experienced in the law and be able to apply it properly and effectively and appropriately where it's designated. Not use legislation from one bill, 99, and making a decision for a claim in a different bill, 162. It makes no sense to me whatsoever. And that the appeals officer didn't catch that and let the adjudicator know, and the customer or the client on the decision, is that kind of incompetence. There's no room for that. So, and another one is decision makers, case managers or managers making decisions, lay person decisions on medical issues. You can't have that. And a lot of times they're overruling your doctor. So these are some of the flaws. Now, here are their promises to us, to injured workers. Their promises are, they're there to help, and that we move to quickly provide wage loss benefits and medical coverage. So workers can get back to work, to over 300,000 workplaces in Ontario. Really? Are you really doing that? Are you moving quickly to provide these benefits and medical coverage? I don't think so. I think every one of you who's watching this are probably going, yeah, no. I had to wait for approval for treatment for 3 weeks or 4 weeks, or reimbursement for my treatment expenses. Like, these aren't things that you should have to worry about. Or I've been waiting for my loss of earnings check now for 4 weeks. I should have got it 2 weeks ago. These things happen. And they shouldn't be happening. Period. They claim that their mandate is to facilitate return to work, recovery, and reentry into the labor market for people who have work-related injury or illness. Yes, that's their mandate. But what are they doing to stick with that mandate and to do that effectively on a day-to-day basis with every single injured worker? And then they claim that their values are that they should espouse these values in every situation, that they need to be compassionate. I can hear some of you already laughing about that one. Or that they always need to be helpful. I think you're probably rising to a crescendo of laughter. That they need to work with integrity. That they need to earn people's trust. That's one that I agree with 100%. Because there isn't a lot of trust out there. But these are the values that they espouse. And I'm going through this, I'm leading up to something here. And their vision is to provide services that are quick, convenient, and accessible to injured workers, and to have the best possible outcomes for injured workers. You tell me, are you experiencing this? Are they living up to these commitments? So in order to improve return to work and recovery, they're saying that they're going to customize return to work services for people that need it most. They're going to provide better access and quality of care. And they're going to help improve sustainable employment. In other words, they're going to do everything they can to help you go back to work. But is their definition of sustainable employment the same as yours? Because one thing that I saw over and over and over, and you're probably experiencing this as well, is being forced back to a job that you can't do, that your doctor's saying you can't do, but everybody else is screaming in your ears that yes, you can, and if you don't, you're going to be deemed uncooperative? Or is it putting you through 6 months of schooling to get into a new career, and then expecting that miraculously, as soon as you're finished, even though you have no experience in that field, you're going to find a job right away, and you're going to have sustainable employment? Because if they really mean what they're saying, they need to be more focused on ensuring that they provide a holistic set of tools and support to enable that to happen. And that means that they need to listen to you. If they're not listening to you and your medical professionals, how's the other crap going to happen? It's not. So getting them to pay attention, to listen to you, to go from, hey, I don't really care about you, I'm going to force you into this, to, hey, listen, okay, well, let's try this. And okay, if your doctor's saying that you really shouldn't be doing this at this time, let's look at what treatment will look like, and then we can revisit that, in 3 or 4 weeks' time. That seems prudent, and it seems more engaging and caring than, nope, just go, and if you can't do it, well, you got to provide us with medical that says you can't do it. Otherwise, you're going to be deemed uncooperative, which is one of their favorite terms. So how does this all work into getting your power back? The WSIB has an infrastructure. It's their internal organization. And you're not going to know specifically who those people are that are pulling the strings. But case managers' decisions get overruled all the time from somebody in behind the scenes, whether it's a manager or a director or a vice president. And a lot of times you don't even know that. In some cases, I feel a bit of pity for case managers. I think a lot of them, when they first start, they try to do the best they can. They're compassionate and understanding. But when they have their rug pulled out from underneath them and somebody pulling their strings, it renders them powerless. And then cynicism can set in. And that whole thing of, whatever. Why am I going to fight my manager if it's not going to matter? I'm really not the one who's making this decision anyway. I just kind of wrote it out. But it happens all the time. What I'm saying is that within that structure, there's always somebody else pulling somebody's string. If you don't understand the structure and how to get to the right person and how to do it in a professional manner so that you earn respect, you're just going to think, and that case manager is going to think that they have all the power. But that's not the case. So from the top down, the ones that are really in control of, when it comes to handling WSIB's injured workers sort of section of the organization, it starts with Scott Bujega. And I know Scott. I knew of him when I was working and had an opportunity to speak with him on a number of occasions. And actually, he's a pretty good guy. He's moved up. But Scott has a number of VPs that are within his department. Now, the WSIB has well over 20 VPs. I don't know why they need so many. And I'm going to talk about that in another video. But anyway, there are a number of VPs under Scott's purview that are all responsible for all matters relating to service delivery to injured workers. Whether it's to do with case management, whether it's appeals, whether it's medical, there are these VPs who then underneath them, reporting to them, have directors. And the directors oversee managers. So there's different business units for different offices across the province. And so this is the hierarchy. You start with the first ones, which are your eligibility adjudicator. Then you have your case manager, nurse consultant, and return to work specialist. So these are the people that they're kind of like hands-on. They're the people that you're going to deal with more regularly. Your case manager initially, and then a return to work specialist if you're involved in return to work activities such as work transition or work transition assessment, these sorts of things. But these are the people you'll deal with primarily. And most people think that whenever there's a roadblock being put up by one of these individuals for whatever reason, that you're powerless. You really can't do anything. And not only that you can't do anything, but you wouldn't know where to start. And I know people, they engage in thousands of letter sending and calls and leaving messages and all that, and that could be a bit of a nuisance. But we're going to show you a professional way to do it and give you the tools to do that. I've already created all that. So you don't have to be overwhelmed by none of this. For you, it'll be as easy as entering a couple of things and it's off. And you'll know when to do it. And that'll be done to make sure that if your eligibility adjudicator or your case manager is stepping outside of their bound or not doing what they're supposed to be doing, you'll be able to take that next step, know who to go to and how to word it and how to make sure it happens. And there's like 4 steps. So I've created all of that for you. It's under my company, WSIBsettlements.com. You don't have to use that. So I don't want you to think that I'm trying to sell my company here and you need to use my tools. You don't. I'm going to give you information that you can pursue this on your own. I want to give you the power to do that. I've just created the tools in a professional manner that are very easy for everyone to use, regardless of age, skill, experience, language. You don't have to worry about any of that. But that's for Monday. That's the third video of this series. So tomorrow we're going to talk about the second video. We're going to get into using their internal organization structure. So basically, these different levels that I just spoke of to you, I'm going to show you how to use it, when's the appropriate time, and then on Monday, I'm going to reveal all of the tools, how to use it. By Monday, you'll know exactly what you need to do to take your power back, to be in control of your case. Doesn't matter what level you're at right now, or what stage of the process, whether you're in return to work phase, or whether you're in an appeal situation and you're waiting, or whether you're waiting for a case manager to get back to you, or waiting for a decision. All of these things, whatever stage you're at, it'll be very clear for you tomorrow and then Monday what you need to do. It'll be that easy. And then you'll be in power. You'll be the one who has the power. You'll be in control. I know that's going to make a lot of difference because it did for me and for my organization. And it really helped in achieving the level of success that we did for our clients. Okay, so I'm going to leave it here. Thank you again for tuning in. Please subscribe. Share this with other people. I know that you know people in your circle of influence right now that could probably use this. Thumbs up and give me comments, give me feedback. I'd love to hear your feedback. And if you have any specific questions, just send me a quick email and what your question is, and I promise I will get back to you with the answer for that. Okay, so anyway, thanks for taking the time, and I look forward to spending time with you again tomorrow, Friday, the 21st of April. All right, friends, as always, have a great day. Take care.